We haven't seen Jeremy in quite a while, probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Um,
Wow.
and it's good to see you,
Good to see you,
Jeremy.
man.
Like everyone that I'm running across, I mean, it looks like you've changed quite a bit. I know I have. There's been a lot going on. I'm anxious to see. I pick up your energy, because I'm not on social media a lot, but I see you popping in. You were really like when we were doing shows. I think we did like 3 or 4 shows.
Right.
You were really fired up. You have a lot of energy, a lot of positivity, a lot of let's get it done kind of energy. And you were doing some really cool stuff with your expressions on social media. I thought you were. I hadn't seen a lot of it lately, but I haven't been on a lot. So where you been? What's going on? How you doing? And welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in, sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence.
It's an honor to be here, Todd. Yeah, I look back and so appreciate and grateful for the platform that you invited me into, and the going back those years, just to be able to express myself in this community, and feel the connection that the 5D connection that this is, and be able to show up as my authentic self. And yeah, no, I've been pretty pretty radio silence on social media. I've been really in build mode with everything, and it sounds like you have been as well. But yeah, it's just nice to connect. Nice to be here, Todd.
Right on. Right
Yeah.
on. I agree. Now, are you in Canada? Is that
No, California.
You're in California? Why did I think you were in Canada? You've always been in California?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
what part of California are you in?
Southern California, like near Los Angeles,
Oh,
near
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many people over there. So many people involved with Soulology over there. So it's a powerful area. I know a lot of people don't really care for the density of LA. I don't necessarily all the time either, but it's a powerful place. There's no doubt about that. I think we forget that sometimes with all the commercialization overbuilding. You said that you've been in build mode, and that's one thing I did notice. I think what I noticed was, and again, I'm speaking primarily from my energetic recollection, and that's yeah, like a lot of us, like we get all this information and we get really excited, and we should, right? And but we're also ascending. So you see people kind of like take it down a notch, like controlled controlled excitement versus super excitement. And I'm the for worst at that, because I'm always just like jumping the gun. Although I've gotten better and better, and I've kind of subdued it a little bit. Does that sound right for you? Because it looked like you kind of like came down, just kind of backed off a little bit, still going, but uh I was going to ask you about that. It sounds like that's what you did.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it, because it's like the the vision is so big and so vast, like you said, so exciting, right? But really the challenge and the up levels were really the how to focus it, how to like land it. Because I think my themes kind of in the past were very, mad scientisty, like being just so out there, so astronaut, with what I'm doing and the ideas that I had. But that struggle to like really communicate it in a human way and like actually land it on the planet. I think that's really been what I've been focusing on and getting building and getting help on, is to really just take that time and patience, like not being impatient, because sometimes in that linear, like you said, like uh, it can seem like it's going slow when you want to go super, super fast.
Mm.
And I think that dynamic of really exercising that patience to land it, and that's really, I think, the significant uh, uh, milestones have been hit,
Mm.
is just taking that time and putting the attention to detail and not being in a rush.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard not to do that. In fact, these are the words I was speaking the last 2 days. It's like, I think well, I don't really follow the solar flares, although it's kind of hard not to now because a lot
Mm.
of people, talk about it or post about it. But I believe it was something like we had 13 M2s 2 days ago, and then we had two M1s, which I guess are much bigger yesterday, and quite a few more, the M2s, and there's already been some today. I mean, photonic energy, whatever you want to call it, but I noticed it, and I think a lot of people noticed it over the last 48 hours. And a lot of people, I don't want to say spinning out like we used to, when these things would happen, but definitely feeling it in our bodies.
I've been
And I
feeling
mean, right?
it.
Like way beyond norm. Like I've heard two people say, well, one's my wife a couple of weeks ago in a channeling. And then I saw another lady, Samantha, I can't remember her last name right now. She lives in Mexico. She's been on the show. She was just on last month. And I just happened to catch something she wrote. It was a post without a picture. She was just basically saying, this is what's happening right now. And then I happened to catch a video that she did in regard to it right afterward. I happened to catch the part because it was like 30 minutes long, and I just tried to find something that I was looking for, but it was all about the same thing, which was that it's getting to the point now where everybody's feeling it. And that, to use her words in that video, she said, I don't care if you're conscious, unconscious, awake, not awake. She lives in a small town and she's noticing it in people, and as well as some of the people she lives with, etc. But yeah, I think it's just coming in so hard and fast. Uh, it's I don't know how to word this, but like it's literally changing the reality day by day, and to the extent that you wake up. I've been saying to myself, I wake up in the morning now and I go, okay, what are we doing today? I've got you scheduled. I got a show scheduled tomorrow and a few feelers out there, but I don't have the whole month filled out anymore. It doesn't
Mm.
work that way anymore. It's not something I'm trying to do. Are you experiencing anything like this? Because I know you have a history of, for lack of a better word, business initiatives, marketing initiatives. You're also a practitioner and a coach, I believe. Um, have you seen those rhythms change?
It's definitely, I mean, the best way I could say it in my words would be the timelessness. Like we're
Mm,
really going towards that, uh, almost that day one, we're not linear in that sense. It really, that difference between being kind of horizontal
mm,
in things and trying to plan out and seeing, how things look in that horizontal plane. But really, where I feel this energy is directing is the vertical. We're always in the day, and
mm. Yeah.
I think that's the reflection I hear on what you're saying is it's no longer, you know, theoretical of how energy is moving us, and we're moving energy. It really feels like the ascension is just getting so much more close to the present moment, in that vertical
Yeah.
plane.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that explanation. I've heard and kind of I can resonate with. I know it's come through in our sessions, where, and I've heard other people talk about it. How we now this is the first time I've heard it something put the way you're putting it, and this is not the same thing, but I want to just kind of connect it all. But like, so we have been, a lot of people in these communities can talk about being out of the body, not being grounded. We don't like this world, so we want to be out here.
Uh,
And so like, we were vertical in that sense. And then all this stuff has landed this year and we've gone like horizontal. People talk about the new earth grid and how we're all connecting horizontally. But what you're talking about, uh, I think is a really good metaphor, or whatever you want to call it, in that we're not out in the future or out in the past, horizontally speaking. We're in the vertical, which means we're very present.
mm,
And the element of time, uh, obviously people have been talking about this for a couple of years, glitches and just the way things are rolling, and not having schedules and all that stuff. But yeah, I think that's very true. Do you feel like that, uh, you know, in your own right that you've become more present through like just consistent work on it? Or do you feel like that we're getting some help with it and it's bigger than us, or both?
Ooh. I do think that there is an exercise to it to be in the flow of it. In terms of the subtraction of the resistance, the subtraction to trying to be a linear person.
Right.
So I don't see it as like an additive exercise, like we have to add things in that sense. But if we are to paint it as a like how we are in alignment to it, it's more of like we're kind of being retrained to the
Hmm.
to the not fighting it. And the
Yeah.
less you fight with it, the more present you are, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Not resistant. Well, getting used to it, I
Getting
think.
used to it.
Getting used to it. Because
Yeah.
now I don't know about you, but here's another probability, I'll say.
Okay.
The way we used to build things, and if we look at business or we look at an enterprise, where you want to get something off the ground and get some traction, and you have these basic building block methods and stuff. And I've talked about this over the years as we tried to do what we're doing now, and let's just say applying 3D, lack of a better word, but maybe not, patriarchal constructs from the business, enterprises or paradigm. I had 20 years in it at a
Mm.
national level for a lot of those years. And so, running a lot of people, running a small company, and everything in between, there's some basic components that were just kind of like sacred cows, like they were just givens. This is what we do. Alpha male, such certain sales practices. But as I was trying as we were trying to like, figure this thing out over the years, every time we tried to apply those types of constructs, it just blew up. And now it just came out of nowhere in March, early March. It was not really something we thought we might be a few months down the road from it, but there just seems to be this really, I don't even know what the words are, loose, free, trustworthy, like a trust built into everything you're doing. People taking on certain roles that they align with, not because they need money or not because this or that. But it's weird. It's just weird the way that it's working, and it is working, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it's, I don't think any of these enterprises have really taken root. I think they're just beginning to. A lot of people might refer to this as the third energy, the triad energy, the trinity energy. And so, yeah, I wonder what these new creations are going to look like. Are you working on anything that's different in that regard to what you were working on last time we talked to you?
Yes, I think actually you served up that tennis ball quite perfectly, because the all the language that I hear and what you just said, and I know you're kind of painting different vocabulary, right,
Mm,
to illustrate that, but where I bring that down is us as a species, the humanity here is we're really shifting or realizing that we are what is actually driving us, what is actually fueling us, and that is passion.
mm,
Uh, and that's what I think you're saying when you say people coming into alignment and working with that without the money or without all those old constructs and how it just flows. That to me is passion.
mm.
How
Yeah.
clean that passion could be, and that's actually for the last I think 6 months now. it has been this new company called the Passion Company that I've been starting.
Mm,
And it's really this culture, this uh, almost like what what would happen when we treat passion as a basic human need,
mm,
uh, and not, and further than that, because of a basic human need, what is passion when it is a basic human need? And that, to me, through everything that I've been researching and taking this work down, is passion is the fuel of human energy at that singular level before duality. Passion is the thing that uh, can either be positive or negative. It's
mm,
both, right?
mm,
And when you see it as that fuel, and I know I can speak on that oneness level here more so in the business realm yet,
mm,
or uh, is passion is the fuel of human energy, because either it has a lot of fear in it and it doesn't perform that well, and it gets stuck, or it's really, really clean and it has all love and no fear in it. And that's when it's like the highest performing energy, is
mm.
when your passion is clean, right? And so my vision is like, what happens when that's a utility in the utility sector along the sides of water and gas and
Wow.
electricity.
Or water and food and air.
Yes, exact
Well,
passion.
I totally resonate with this, and I'll tell you why. Because, and I'm not saying this is the ultimate truth. I'm just saying it's my own truth. But, and I have spoken about it on the show. But I feel like that the human hybrid species, like all species, has certain unique qualities, and what has been a hell of a burden on us, I think, and you speak very eloquent, put to it, is our emotions. So, you could look at a lot of different narratives, however you want to do it, but I think there's enough transmissions and recollections from people, experiences that they've shared, that there's been enough encounters, whatever, that it's apparent to us that other aspects of us, you might say, don't have an emotional intelligence like we do.
Mm.
And that's probably been a big challenge in them trying to collaborate with us, especially when our memories are wiped and whatever the case is. But without getting into all the complexities and intricacies, bottom line is a human being that is in a place of awareness that organically, through their growth, finds their passion. Because when we find our passion, be it a person in a relationship or something we want to express artistically, or in an enterprise, you can't stop us. Nothing
Mm.
stops us. And in other than obviously with anything else, ourselves. But I really feel like that, what you're saying, especially the way you said it, with before we approach duality, all right? Like, this is something we have. This is something we have that is a weakness and it's a strength, like all great things, right? And
Most
then
all the time.
right, and as I see as I listen to your description, I see this man, right, this person, and they're not even contemplating duality yet, and they're in touch with their passion, which, if you think about embodiment, that could be true, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go through duality. It doesn't matter once you get to that point of awareness, and you can bring it all in and embody it. Now you're neutralizing anything, like I said, nothing can stand in your way. But the last thing I want to say is, it really, to me, speaks to, because we've thought of ourselves as these small little beings that are finite in potential and etc. And yet we're coming into this crazy, fantastic awareness that no, that's not the case at all. In fact, we are front and center in the universal stage right now, because it's never been this level of transformation from such a dense type of realm.
Mhm.
So to think that an individual who has this, or had this, uh, impression of themselves that they were just small and finite and physical, and that was really it. And but to think that they could actually trigger, really, across all timelines and dimensions, something that's never been seen before, because they brought to the table this tool belt of supernatural, energetic, not weapons in a bad way, but tools, and that is our emotions now being consciously balanced in our behavior in that
Yes.
vertical moment that you're talking about. So I see things like this, like hearing this from you, especially you're younger, and that's another thing. A lot of these young people are coming on here. Uh, and I guess, I just wanted to kind of say that and lead into something else, but like, I know you work with a lot of people, and I know you're not shy. Uh, are there a lot of young people? And when I say young, I'm talking, 20, anything from 15 to 45, or you know what I mean? Like, I mean, are you seeing a lot of younger people? Because in these communities, they've been predominantly populated by, 45 and over, like 80%, 85%. Are you seeing young people coming to the party?
I believe so. Yes. I mean, I guess it's relative, right? Because I do still feel the almost like if we were going to make a tech analogy here, like the early adopter in this evolution that we're talking about, like uh the even the calling towards what is the next, what is superhuman to human, like you
Mm,
mentioned supernatural, right? Like
mm,
uh the calling towards that evolution, or the challenge to push that evolution. The early adopter, I do think it's still rare in that sense, right? Where it's not for everyone yet.
mm.
But yes, I feel like there are people, and people in my sphere too that have come in that are on the younger side, that are wanting that challenge to their
Mm,
evolution, the
mm,
self-awareness, right?
mm, yeah. And so, like, in your own enterprise that you're doing these last 6 months, what do you call
Yeah.
it again? Passion
The
what?
Passion Company.
The Passion Company. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
The Passion Company. Yeah, there was a guy a few years ago when I first this would be in like 2014. He had I don't know if you ever seen it, called
Hmm.
passionplanet.org. This dude out of New York City. And they had a pretty good run for a couple of years. But you know how this stuff goes. You got to stay with it.
Yep.
you know,
Oh,
but
sustainability is the key, longevity.
right. So like, what's your mission? What's it? Because I know it's probably not set in stone yet. Maybe everything changes so much, but like, what's formulating there? Like, as far as a mission, as a vision, is it
Yes,
is
I'd
it
love to
like
share.
team collaboration? Is it personal transformation, or that type of thing?
Yeah. So the vision is to supply the highest quality passion to the planet,
Mm,
uh, in much of a supply and support, and the mission is to accelerate the world's conscious evolution to superhuman.
wow, I like
Uh,
that. I
yeah,
like that.
that's what we're really talking about when we talk supernatural, when we talk, these gifts and abilities and talents, and taking the human system. And I don't know if you remember, I talked about it on when I was on a couple of years ago, right, with my invention of imagination technology.
Yeah,
This
I
really
remember
is
that.
the application of it. This is the, picking a sector of humanity, a utility sector, and applying it so that it is best used and applied into uh, really the healing, freedom, and mastery of people.
Wow. Wow, that's I like that. And you see that with a lot of the newest initiatives. They're not only in alignment with the person, the soul of the person, but they're kind of aligned with the universal movement that's
Mhm.
occurring. You might call it universal will or Trinity energy or something like that. So how, and the fact that you're actually incorporating this micro into the whole macro, right? That's really cool. how do you find your passion? Where do you start with someone who pops their head in the door? Um, where do you start with it?
It starts with imagination technology.
Mm,
So they're if they're really wanting to like tiptoe, they can do a demo, just like any other, software or
mm,
tech, thing. We've created a where you can get like a little experience, a little 5-day experience to see how fast, because it's all about accelerating conscious evolution,
mm,
giving you the keys to step into that pilot seat of your soul and uh, steer, right, and that because what we're really talking about here is the ascension from that self-conscious limited state to
mm,
that higher self-awareness where you are more of a creator and less of a victim,
mm.
right? And so imagination technology is the best in the universe at allowing people to see that, to understand or realize how to do it, or what's actually occurring in that, going from evolution being external,
Right.
external force on us, to conscious evolution. And I know a lot of people understand that, of what that means. It's the opportunity. It's this huge opportunity that we have as a species.
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah, once they get on board with imagination technology, then it's just about that tech support for their soul and providing everything that they need to accelerate their conscious evolution. And then uh, the metaphor here, that you're familiar with the Tesla car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have the supercharger stations, right, all
Mm-hmm.
across the world
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to charge, to that they've provided that infrastructure, right? So we have this imagination technology, which is the core of what we do to help you heal, free, and master yourself. And then we have the Passion Dojo, which is like the supercharger station. It's where you really learn to master your self-awareness, and it's like a gym for your consciousness. I don't think there's anything else on the planet like this, where you get to have this. It's not really about a modality. It's not really about, information. It's really just this blank dojo training environment to learn how to be that creator of your reality, and to clean and train and refine your fuel for the
Mm.
best performance, for that superhuman performance.
God, that's a lot. No, but I get it. I mean, I can pick up on it energetically, especially. It kind of reminds me of I remember reading what's his name? Anthony Robbins back in the 80s. He had a book called Unlimited Power, I think. So it was a just comprised of kind of everything in one. But that book was this big. So we're now what, 40 years later, and people like you come along. And now, does it involve like an app?
Mhm.
Uh, I would imagine it involves a website as well, but like because you were talking about that first part, giving them the tech support. It's interesting. I mentioned this about 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks, but I saw a clip of Mateus De Stefano on a show very recently, and he said something I hadn't heard before. He said, because I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's got memories kind of like Franco Di Nicola did, like going back many incarnations and dimensions, Atlantis and other planets, and all that information kind of dovetailing into his experience here and what his role is here. And what he was saying is that, and I should mention too, that he said that there's never been the number of souls standing on the earth that were at this level of
Exactly.
awareness and consciousness. And he said that this ascension will take place, this transcendence will take place with technology.
Yeah.
But he said, not like you would think, like that you see out there in all the fear porn, but that we actually are getting to a point where our thoughts, without somebody providing the program, but through our natural, our natural abilities, be able to, not just something like that we think of a technology, but really anything. I guess what we're talking about is 5-dimensional qualities, the same types of things that you're trying to kind of support people in their trajectory to it, all of our trajectories to it. But yeah, so this app that you have, did it take you, is that like the first part of it that you kind of constructed? And is it, and I'm assuming it's probably the piece that's handed to the person as they walk in the door and accept the initiative.
Yes. If I understand what you're asking, like, so I've been like in that research and development for the last 3 years, or even further if you want to go back to more energetic R&D, but like and you go back and watch the show where I talked about imagination technology with you and sharing it from 2 years ago or however long it was. And so over that time, it's really been, okay, how can we land this into an applicable like focus, right? And so I'm really, really serious that this is a utility. This is like, for the metaphor here, how we had to get pick water or electricity, right? How do we get water to every single house in the country, right? Or electricity, all the wiring to people's houses, the infrastructure that it takes to support a utility, right? That's what I've been doing 3 years, and then for the last 6 months, and really like this passion company and the app like you're talking about, iSelf is what we call it. iSelf. So think about it like in the threes. It's the app, it's the utility, and it's the help desk. And it's all powered by imagination technology with the delivery of this. Like, think about the metaphor of like the electric outlet on your wall, right? All the electricity that comes to it, and then the plug that goes into it to use it, right? That's kind of how you have to think about this. Is like, this is a whole new utility for a human being, for the human species that hasn't existed yet, to supply passion and to support passion. Something that you plug into with our business that allows that very focused energy work to occur, to not only receive our highest quality supply of passion, but to support yours in what that means to the cleaning of the fear, the training of your mind, and getting you into that mastery of your spirit, your soul, your quantum self.
Yeah, I can feel into this. I mean, this is cool. And I was actually going to ask you about fear, and you just mentioned it. So again, so like just to try to keep me on track. All right. But I feel like I'm on track. I just to confirm it. Right.
Wonderful.
So like what you're doing is you're emulating the whole universe, basically. So you got use the thing with the power. So there you have this like say this Akashic, you could say an Akashic or a database or information base, whatever. And then you run all the stuff so everybody has access to it. And then they plug in and there's their app. And yet, even though that sounds that could be described energetic, but also there's a physical property, there's a physical infrastructure to it. Now it gets to the person, they have the app, it's real time, they have access to them. It sounds like they're giving information, yet they're also being able to pull information. Some of that information is based on what they're giving, and some of it's based on what they're doing. So, and then of course, the final part, which is the best part, which is how you started, is that singular human aligning with its passion before even considering duality. So
Cool.
now you have, so like, can you take us through, like, I don't know, say the enrollment, or, I guess it was something like that. Like, what information does the person provide to the app to get the ball rolling, or does it start another way?
Good question. So I would go to like really what is conscious evolution here?
Mm,
Because it's really, would we kind of get closer to, responding to this question, it's really about what conscious evolution means. It's actually accepting the invitation to be an active participant
mm,
in your own evolution when it comes
mm.
down to it. Do you feel what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I feel that big time.
So
Yeah.
that's the first step, is you have to accept that invitation to go from being a passive passive
Mm,
participant, to being an active participant.
mm,
So once you're in, that's up to you. That is your curiosity. That is your wonder. That is your investigation, your inquiry into going from information to imagination technology. That
mm.
is the going, like, for example, going from being a time-based person to timeless, in the full application of what that means in your body,
Mm.
right? Or to go from information in the mind, right?
Right.
How you are
Right.
constructing this identity structure, to experimenting with the subtraction, with the emptiness, in a more tangible way, in a
Mm.
more interactive way. Because this isn't about adding, this isn't a modality about adding information to your plate.
Right.
This is an unphilosophy,
I
if that
got you.
makes sense,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that takes experimentation. That
Mhm.
takes putting your hands into this is counter culture. This is
Right.
counter to what you've been conditioned or programmed to operate, because the old operating system is that survival of the fittest. Like you
Mhm.
said, that fear-based interaction with reality, right? And being that victim to the circumstances, and uh very low frequency, right?
Mm.
And what we're challenging is not just the conditioning and the programming at that top level. We're addressing like the operating system of the species on a very big level, in terms of survival to universal, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, so that's what it means to be powered by imagination technology, is that you're experimenting with these theories. You're actually applying them, but also interacting with what's coming up in the curiosity and wonder to test it.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. You would get along very well with Kate Lumley. Do you know her?
I do not.
Utopia, Ewetopia. She's Kate the Heartist.
Okay.
But and I know a few other people, like their initiatives are speaking to the same thing you're speaking to. So you could, if I went and dived into your stuff just based on what I've heard, and know about you, this new, I'm going to call it like new earth infrastructure, it's a remix of everything that's in the big block back there, and then all of our, say, the living library is added to it. So now we're at this other place where we've come out in 2023, and the atmosphere's changed, and that other old stuff won't be supported anyway. So we're coming out with all these new creations. Yours and some of these other ones if I dive into them, there is an element of shadow work and zero pointing and facing our fears, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Where in the old
Conscious
world,
evolution.
right? Yeah, where in the old world, that was kind of where we started. And I'm not saying that you don't, but what I'm saying is that was the deconstruction. There is an element of deconstruction here, but there's an element of constructing as well. Like something's being built as you're tearing down, right? And then the other thing I love about what you and these others are doing is that it's if it's not said directly, it's built into that infrastructure, which is, how does this make you feel? Because you're talking curiosity, you're talking imagination, you're talking the body's collective, right? How does this make you feel? Because like you said, it's almost like, and I don't know what you say to people, but it's almost like you said, hey, I want to do this. And yet there's all these things here that say I can't. And then like your magic, your imagination tech allows them to understand that we're much bigger than we thought, and we're much bigger than these impediments that aren't even actually there. But that's what it feels like to me. Is that how it works?
That's spot on. That's
Hmm.
spot on, because we're asking the question, or posing the vision of what is the difference between human and superhuman,
Mm.
right? And feeling what that means on an evolutionary level to push or challenge the limits that were imposed prior,
Mm.
in a survival scarcity based consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And like in your own journey, these last couple of years, especially, and then what you see with people like that you work with,
Mhm.
um, like this whole thing about, people, there's so many ways to talk about this, but like letting go. It's
Mhm.
one thing to let go of a relationship or let go of a job or let go, but to let go of an entire paradigm that, even though it was broken,
Mhm.
and this may or may not be true, but in order to eat, we had to participate in it. Now we're building these new ones. And like I said, the time element's going away. Organization is different, communication is different. If I look at our own situation at Sology, I mean, if you look at the two chief caretakers, anyway, me and Morgan, we're worlds apart at the moment. you
Mhm.
know that creates some of those impediments that we thought were bigger than us, right? Time and space.
Time and space.
Relatively living like two hobos, running an enterprise of several years, and then kind of like when getting into 2023, we could feel something coming on, but we didn't know we were going to make the jump and take the leap. So you go from this kind of shedding, the work, the inner work, and then all of a sudden there's this whole kind of a congealment, and it's this collaborative energy, co-creative energy, and things just start to happen. I mean, we're sitting with like less than $10 in the bank, and 2 3 days later we're launching something that doesn't even make any sense to do something like that. Yet
Wow.
all these people, like in this example, and I'm sure that's what I'm getting at. We found that all of these people were on the same wavelength, and just kind of things started like appearing out of nowhere. You could call them synchronicities, you could call it coincidence, but like what you need comes when you need it. Are you finding that as you've been working on this these years, and especially the last 2 or 3 years, are you finding that these things are coming to you with more and more frequency? And are you seeing them in, your interactions with your clients?
Yes, yes. Oh, yes, but there's also a no side to this because I want to be as like
Mm-hmm.
deep and transparent with that, like really feeling this. The question here is like I think I said it before, the patience has really been a theme for me, and not buying into rush, the scarcity of rush and needing to get somewhere in the future as fast as possible.
Right.
Uh, and as you can see, there's a paradox there of like saying, well, the mission is to accelerate the world's conscious evolution to super, like we're accelerating, like, but in the application of that and the nuances of that, acceleration can also look like slowing down to speed up. That's a part of acceleration. And uh that has really been the game for me, at least, has been that the patience, the slowing down, because that's when things really fall into place to give you the yes answer, is when you're not ahead of yourself. When I'm not in the future trying to get somewhere as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That's when the magic, in that moment, like I think you mentioned there, that's when things really
Mm-hmm.
start to take shape, and people come in, and results and things. That to me is in terms of training, right? In terms of learning that, because it's, yes, it is all happening now, but if it was all happening now, that would be quite an overload on our system. If it was really, really happening all now.
Right. Right.
I think we like the journey,
Mm.
on a soul level. We like the delayed gratification as much as the instant gratification. Uh, yeah.
Well, you bring up a really good point there. That's why I love doing this show, because I learn things.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you think about it, the whole idea of accelerating for the purpose of gratification, right?
Hmm.
Uh, as I'm sitting here listening to you, and the way you connected that back to the way we came in with it, like as a business enterprise or as a personal growth thing, um, we is that not an element of linear time? You know what I mean? Like the rhythm of linear time, the programming of linear time, that we got to do this now. We've got to save the world now. Yeah,
Mm.
you hear this all the time, and I do it, right? I ask the question a lot. Is it, I'm talking about, like, if I'm in session with Morgan, or to myself, um, is this, we say, the highest season grace. I'll say it's kind of like that, but I'll say, in other words, do I need to be doing this, is part of the objective to accelerate the process, because I'm very aware that we've accelerated timelines over and over again. Is that really something that needs to be built into my inspiration and intention? You're making
Mm.
me think about this, because this morning I woke up and the first thing I saw was this short story on Job, who is known for patience, right?
Yeah.
And so now you're bringing it up, and there's no coincidences. But I just wonder, there's a lot more, I think, being said when you, or someone like you, is saying something in the way that you are, which is first of all, being open to some things that are totally atypical, even in the, let's say, the spiritual communities. Being open, because we don't know, but also not, I guess, acceleration. to expand, like as a scientific equation, that's one thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about slowing the hell down, because I know that's what got a hold of me the last 2 days, and I haven't had that in a long time. And I thought, oh man, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, we got to do that,
Uh-huh.
and it was, and I knew it wasn't a balanced band of frequencies, but to pull out one thing, it would be, we got to make this happen now. But if you examine why Todd, in that example, wants to see things happen now, it's really just has the same kind of, false impression or false reward of, hey, be good, die, you're going to go to heaven.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if I accelerate things and there's
Yeah.
more abundance and everyone's happy and then what? Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be said for what you said. Maybe we're starting to realize, and maybe that's one of the things you're bringing to the table. We're starting to realize the reverence for the now. I read another meme this morning, and it was saying, be thankful for what you have. In another way, in other words, if you're thinking about what you don't have, you can't be thankful for what you have, because it's also become very obvious that the more gratitude that we have, the more those magic things come to us. You see
Hmm.
a lot more people talking about that more and more every day.
Yeah. I I think I felt to respond with a distinction in what you just served up there, because I what I see you communicated there, there's a distinction between the conscious evolution and the creation, the artistic creation.
Mm.
Uh, and then those can get very entangled. That's kind of how I interpreted that. That's why I want to draw a distinction, maybe to
Mm.
visualize this in a different way, because the conscious evolution is the acceleration of freedom, the direct,
Mm.
no time, right here, right now. Freedom is here now. And if there's
Mm.
anything in that way, the acceleration to that is that's instant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what we need to get faster at, is if we get lost in this and we forget
Right.
our freedom,
Mm.
right back down. That's because if we're faster at that, there is less suffering, right? And
Right.
less struggle. But to distinguish the creation, the art, if we can maybe use that word, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we want, the indulgence of
Mm.
immersion and the that's the infinite mastery. That's the always getting better and better and better. That can be slow, but that has no bearing on conscious evolution to me.
Yeah. No, I
It's
see what you're
distinguished.
saying. No, I see exactly what you're saying. The getting to that point creates that flash. Like getting to that point brings in the quantum, right?
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong, period. But I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with pulling to that point. That's what we do. That's what we're doing. That's that whole vertical you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that and somebody said it a minute ago too. I think it's like when you get to that point, that's where it comes. And so like, um, yeah, I see what you're saying. In fact, I see how they're it's not linear. So you can't really explain it in linear terms, but I get what you're talking about. Do you have
Multidimensional.
I mean, I know you're going to create your universe in the network and community,
Yes.
but do you have a site now? Can you show us the imagination tech? Do you have it anywhere on the net?
Yeah, if you want to
Here,
pull it
let me
up on
just,
yours or my
no, I'll send it over to you and let you, there you go. You should be good to go now. Yeah, I like to see it. I think this is one of the things that will be a big part of the networking community is people, uh, as they go in and investigate people, instead of having to go to another page or another, website or another social media, they can get everything right there. So I think we might as well get into the habit of it. We have somebody on and they got something that they're going to put on here. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah. And I think judging by what I saw on on the Soulology thing, if I could like shift over from YouTube to Soulology and have my community there instead of YouTube, I would be so down for that.
Dude, it's there. No censoring, no
Yeah,
commercials.
right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so, I mean, that's part of it too, because, and your whole thing with the imagination, and the passion thing is that's the way I see it. Those elements are all there. It's not like
Yeah.
a marketplace and it's not like a beauty pageant. It's everything there, transparent. Like you were talking earlier. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take us through it.
Yeah. So universalimagination.org is
Mm,
the page. And like I said, you could either try a demo or read the book that I've wrote, which I'm calling the manual.
mm.
And let's get it on mine so it's all logged in. Oh, was no one logged in. There it is.
Are we having tech issues?
No, I just haven't. I have my phone here for the
Oh,
verification.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you had? Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
So like I said, we have the utility, which is the course.
Okay.
And then that's where they get the to experience it, the demo. 5-day demo. And then we have the help desk, which is the area to pose your questions, tech support for the soul, and receive the support like that. And then the app they can download. It looks like that, but it's on the app.
Right on. Right
Yeah.
on. And what's the Passion Dojo?
The Passion Dojo is a group training with me.
Mm.
And that's where, like I said, it's like going to a gym to work out your consciousness. And really to come to train to be consciously self-aware and master the art of yourself in a group of other like-minded individuals that are shooting for that superhuman aim, right? And I haven't known of anything like this out there, but it is where you really, because if you're doing it alone, right, it can be really hard to do that, right? To really focus and work on your consciousness at that level, right? But when you're doing it with other people, you don't, and especially when you don't have to hide your weirdness, right? And you can experiment and learn with others. That's yeah.
Far out, man.
Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
we'll have to revisit this later in the year and see what see how these all these things can kind of mesh together. I think this networking community is like a reflection of the earth itself as it transforms, where you're going to have what we talked about at the beginning. You're going to have this collaboration and this. I've watched it happen in Soulology. And I've really watched it happen over the last few months. It seems like it's really kicking off. I see more and more people connected and they're collaborating. They're doing stuff together. You can see the pieces. They haven't all quite come together. But I think, especially things like this that are not cookie cut. You know what I mean? And that's
Certainly.
not to take anything away from anyone, because everything that we experienced and observed served us. But as we know, especially in 2023, there's a lot of things that we didn't bring with us. And you have people, for instance, and I don't believe that they're, well, some probably are, but they're not saying it in a derogatory way, that this is the year where there's no more guru, no more yogi, no more teacher, in that in the old regard. But
Yep.
in the new regard, we're sitting together, you're teaching me, I'm teaching you, I'm your student, you're my, you know what I mean? It's a equal energy exchange. But I think one of the characteristics, and I've seen this in the last few months with people around Sology. I've had a lot of these conversations with them, and the conversations kind of go like this. Uh, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? And my answer to them has been, I don't know. Make content. Just content being, building your infrastructure, building your universe, building your world, building whatever it is. Make the content, get the content ready. So then when we all have the opportunity, we can populate things, quickly with recent, intel, or our expressions or translations or communications of whatever it is that we're tapping into, that we're providing our piece of the puzzle. So I
Yeah.
think this seems to have all the characteristics, and it doesn't surprise me, having talked to you before, because you have been on this for quite some time. Even though this last part is 6 months, but I mean, you were all over this when I met you, when I first met you, and even after we did a couple of 2-3 shows.
Yeah, I on the level I consider it my soul's work. So
Yeah.
it's unstoppable. Like I think, like you said before, right? It's
Mm.
uh yeah, the from our research and development and testing it and trying different ways of sharing it, to focusing and landing it into, a big vision, like a really playing the biggest game that I can, and not playing small. That's really
Yeah.
been, I think, where we are today.
Yeah, and it's funny how there's so many different variations of the change coming in. Um, one of the things, to what you said, like watching the uh projections of the whole, this Dalai Lama thing, or could be something else, right? And this is why I said, what I said earlier about kind of the come to the light, come to Jesus, whatever, in these light worker circles, because we have been, you could say, we kind of been leading the way. We've been atypical, a lot like your imagination tech, and understandably, we would be susceptible to carrying an air of superiority in our better moments. Um, and I think we're all going to be brought to a certain level. I don't feel like it's a fire and brimstone kind of, Kali energy burning us out, even though we're all experiencing that. I think it has to do with like the whole spirit of indifference in terms of what was typical of your approach. It's, as individual goes, so goes a collective, right? I see it very similar, that it's actually the healing, you could say, or the healing from here is being done through collaboration and co-creation, because um, you can't really collaborate and co-create in a pure sense, which is what the Trinity is, right? Unless you trust, right? And part of that trust is, I believe, to go out, as I've always been told for the last 10 years, and I'll say, well, how the hell am I going to do this? Well, whatever you do, don't do this, don't do anything that's been done before. And so you carry that characteristics. And I think that's how part of how this new pattern of building and creating is constructed. We have to trust each other, not because it makes us a good person or a bad person, but because that's the way the magic works. That's the way the Trinity equation works. A balanced male and female come together, Vesica Pisces, conception, you kick out a third energy. Now you got the the Trinity,
Mm.
which you could look at, and, validate, eons back. I mean, it's talked about in so many different narratives and, retellings and such. Yeah, I'm excited about what you're doing. And the other thing that I think is going to serve, I don't think that, I've said this before. I have the greatest reverence and respect and love for Facebook, YouTube, right? But again, things that served us, and we've all learned this, and it's been rough, that served us and got us to a certain point, aren't necessarily going to get us to the next one. And not to blow our potential's horn here, but or throw dirt on them. I believe that what we're all constructing here together, which is going to be constructed in deliberation, in patience, it's going to be customized to our preferences. So imagine being on a YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn all in one, and the algorithms work in your favor. Right? There's no control mechanism. There's no censoring. There's a constant refinement that's not something behind the scenes, but something that everybody's involved with. And even to have these discussions. But to sum it up, someone like you, and there are many, will be able to come on here and have a much more visibility and a much more vibrant delivery to when they show up on somebody's timeline, when they show up on somebody's device, with the element of the live and the shop and a little more dexterity and how you can formulate your page and what it could look like and the colors and the whole thing. And then of course the connectivity, because I'm thinking of like 3 or 4 people right now that are probably from the same branch of the tree of life that you are. They carry some of the same qualities, and that's probably the primary thing I think that Soulspeaks done over the years is connect people. So now it's going to be extrapolated energetically and in many other ways as we all pull this together. So I'm anxious to see where it goes and how that all plays out. For you, I think it's
vibrant is such a great word, so inspiring. It's such a beautiful word that with the vision of where this is going.
Yeah. So do you have anything coming up or anything that you want to touch on before we get out of here?
No, I think we hit on all the bases that I wanted to. And I mean, is there any questions from any of the comments? I love questions, but if not, like
I haven't seen any. Somebody wanted you to scroll down a bit. That was earlier though.
Oh, yeah, they can universalimagination.org.
Yeah, universalimagination.org.
Yeah.
I
but yeah, if I'm always looking for good conversations, questions, curiosities, and if anyone's curious to try this and kind of be on that early adopter level of what our utility is that we're building, be glad to talk to them.
Wow. And this gives me ideas too, as we get rolling, because I mean, I understand, like we call it the old Soulology and the new Soulology. So that's why we left all of our archives. That's why we didn't load up a bunch of stuff on here. It's everything started from scratch. I think this is the 12th live. We're probably going to do at least maybe even double that in the next 7 days because we're ready to take that next step. But I can see a lot of different ideas coming out of here, but even like, almost like an expo, right? Like,
yes.
Because we have some things that we can do. We got a couple of bugs to work out, but nothing major with broadcast software and different things. And one of those things is to be able to pull a lot of people in, kind of like a Zoom, but with a little bit more flair, and have like a expo. We're going to spend 2 hours live with 8 different people. They're going to kind of show us what they're doing, and we'll just network, something like that. See, the great thing about this situation is that, like that page I showed you at the beginning of the show, that's everybody's page. Everybody will have a page. They'll all have the same template, and and so I think there's going to be a lot more connectivity because of all the distortion and static that we know was there, and some of us experienced it, very much in terms of censorship and getting shadow banned and all that. But yeah, I think this is going to serve us well. And what I was going to say is, I'm sitting here talking about ideas for Sology Main Street. You know what I mean? But anybody, you can see on that template, anybody can create their own universe, right? You can create your groups, you can have your videos, you can build right there with all those elements. And to me, the greatest thing about it is you have a captive audience, because everybody is here for the same reason. And this was one of the big thresholds that we had to cross, because we operated off contributions for so many, for the whole time we were doing this. And then it all kind of came together, and it was like, hey, you know what? I mean, I bought the first ticket, $12.12 a month. But that, I think, when people have something energetically invested, and that's really nothing, okay,
Yeah.
then it kind of, well, I was talking to a friend last night, and she said to me, I'm excited about the Soulgy Network. The reason I'm excited about it is because of who migrates to it. In other words, and I thought for a second, what do you mean? But then I realized that as we made the migration, there wasn't much noise, okay, but there were people that I realized aren't coming, and that's okay, right? That's fine. But what does it mean on this side? It means that we got a bunch of Todds and Jeremys and Sarahs and Lisas and Dahlias, and everyone's kind of coming for the same purpose. We have the same vested interest, and the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. Because if you're on I mean, it'd be like going to YouTube. And now, does anyone know what YouTube's parameters and equation is for monetizing? I mean, like, to the dollar, to the percentage. I don't think anybody
No.
knows. I've researched it. I've seen a lot of different examples. And one thing, you got to have a boatload of views or whatever. But this is going to eventually be transparent, and people can see exactly what goes where and why. I think having that type of round table kind of energetic, uh, uh, you know, agreement, or just basic axiom laid down, that other people will follow it. Other people will open up to the trust of it. You know what I mean? To the generosity and the benevolence of it. So, because I think these are qualities that have just been suppressed in us, and they're going to come out. So this is a way, and what you're doing is a way to bring those qualities out in the individual, which then translates to the shared experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think I did the year founder, or did you call it like a founder membership, or
Founding Soul. Yeah, you did the
founding?
founding soul.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
and
the
that
one I
helped.
did.
Yeah, and that helped us a lot too. And that was just kind of a throw-in thing, right? Because now we know. See, the great thing about this too is, like, you got 400 people, you know what your budget is. 1,000 people, you know what your budget is. That's why we're able to go, okay, we get to this point, we can do this. We get to this point, we can do that.
Love it.
And I believe that this summer we'll get to 3,333, which will give us a budget of enough to support and facilitate everything that is there, and
Yeah.
also to be able to give back. And so that, I think that's all, like, based on substance. I mean, you put your money where your mouth is. You can't tell me that people like you, people like Soulgy, many other people I know, there's no way. I've studied too many platforms for the last 10 years. I'm very familiar with the metrics. I'm very familiar with the way they got that all set up, or what they allow you to see. I think Soulgy's gotten a bunch more views than it's ever shown, and you too, and many other people. If they didn't get them, they were pushed down the algorithms, so they couldn't be seen.
Right.
So
Right.
here we have an environment where we're going to see what happens when all the constrictions are taken away.
All the bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super lit. Yeah, let me know. Keep me in the loop on the back end, all that stuff.
Yeah.
If I
Well,
can get.
yeah. And so we just got out of a meeting with our IT partners, and we're looking at, I would say probably Wednesday, sometime Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll migrate the page, the page we have now, onto the page I was showing at the top of the show. I'll have a second version of the draft Monday or Tuesday that I'll start sharing publicly.
Okay.
We'll make the migration, let's say by the end of the week. And then, I would say probably 2 weeks later, probably bring some people in, a few people just to test things, whatever. But wholeheartedly bringing everybody in maybe 2 weeks from there.
Fantastic.
End of the month. And then, yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And I appreciate you coming in, brother. It's good seeing you again. I hope to see you in the flesh. I think some physical meetings are cool too. And I got a feeling something's going to pop up toward
Are
the
you
end of the
still
year.
in Hawaii? Wait,
No.
no,
I think the last time I talked to you, I was already in Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay.
Yeah, I went to Hawaii 2018 and traveled 2019, Arkansas 2019, 2020. I left in May 2021. Oh, 2022. 2022.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
I've been traveling around. I'm down in Houston right now, but I'm going to be hitting the road here pretty soon. I have no idea where. But we got to get this thing stabilized first. So I'm really happy that so many people are coming on to build their universes, because that'll further stabilize things.
right.
And I think it's just going to take off from there. So
thank you for having me.
yeah, brother. You take care. Peace out, everybody. I am going to turn off the record button. I have to go through this process.